This was supposed to be a celebration, a historic moment, a second straight Olympic gold medal. But just minutes after winning, she received news that would change everything. At the 2026 Winter Olympics, Eileen Gu made history and then dedicated her victory to the woman who shaped her life. This is not just a sports
But I just want
story.
to say something really quickly.
This is a story about love,
Is that
loss, and
I just
legacy.
found out that my grandma passed. She was like a really.
The 2026 Winter Games in Milan Cortina were already historic, but no one was prepared for what was about to happen inside the halfpipe. The women's Freeski halfpipe final was down to the last run. The gold medal was still undecided, and the weight of an entire nation's expectations rested on the shoulders of one athlete, Eileen Gu. She had already conquered the world once, but in sports, staying on top is a far more treacherous climb than getting there. The spotlight burns hotter, the margin for error vanishes, and the whispers of one-hit wonder are always lurking. As she positioned herself at the precipice, the roar of the crowd faded into a muffled hum. The only thing that existed was the ice below and the sky above. She dropped. Her acceleration was a masterclass in control. She wasn't just skiing, she was painting, carving arcs of precision into the frozen canvas. She catapulted herself skyward, achieving an altitude that seemed to defy physics. Trick after dizzying trick, spins, grabs, inverted flips were all linked together with a surgeon's precision. There was no flinch, no sign of the immense pressure, just a pure, unbroken flow state. Her amplitude was the story of the run. By launching so high, she gifted herself precious extra milliseconds to execute combinations so complex they exist only in the dreams of her competitors. She was skiing in a league where gravity seemed optional. As she set up for her final hit, the energy in the arena shifted. You could feel the collective intake of breath. She took off one last time, a silhouette against the bright Olympic lights, and stomped the landing with an authority that shook the snow. It was a flawless exclamation point on a perfect run. The score ignited the arena, 94.75. It was enough. She had done it. Back-to-back Olympic gold in the halfpipe. A feat that cements a legacy, not just in skiing, but in all of sport. The celebration was pure euphoria, but behind the smile, that iconic mix of joy and disbelief, a storm was brewing. What should have been the pinnacle of her life was about to shatter into a million pieces. Moments after the medal ceremony, with the gold still warm around her neck, the news hit her. Her grandmother, the woman who was the very foundation of her life, had passed away. This wasn't just a family member. This was her rock, the woman who drove her to those freezing 5 a.m. practices, who sat with her through every injury, who instilled the very belief that made this moment possible. Her grandmother was the quiet force behind the public triumph. At the press conference later, the emotional whiplash was palpable. The gold medal glistened on the table, a stark contrast to the grief in her eyes. Her voice, usually so vibrant, was a soft tremor as she spoke. She described her grandmother not just as family, but as her foundation, her ultimate role model. She was the one constant through the years of struggle and sacrifice. And now, at the moment they had both worked for, she was gone. There is a profound, gut-wrenching irony in achieving your life's dream only to have your heart simultaneously ripped out. The highs of highs colliding with the lows of lows. Yet in that room full of cameras, Eileen didn't crumble. She carried herself with a poise that wasn't just her own. It was a direct reflection of the strength her grandmother had given her. The medal was no longer just a piece of metal. It had transformed into a vessel of a lifetime of love. She later shared a detail that reframed everything. Her grandmother's mantra was simple: be fearless, take the risk, never ski with doubt in your heart. Her grandmother's voice was the wind beneath her skis. Go back and watch that final championship run with this knowledge. Suddenly, it's not just an athletic display, it's a conversation. Every breathtaking leap is an act of courage fueled by memory. Every perfect landing is a thank you. That wasn't a skier trying to win a contest. That was a granddaughter trying to honor a life. She wasn't just skiing for a country or a gold medal. She was skiing for the woman who taught her to fly. We often hear athletes dedicate their performances to family, but here it was more than a dedication. It was a spiritual act, a silent promise delivered through excellence. It wasn't about words of grief, it was about actions of strength. And that is the core of this story's power. Because while gold medals are objects of beauty, love is the force that gives them meaning. And on that frigid Italian night, Eileen Gu didn't just defend her Olympic title, she delivered a eulogy written in the sky. The story detonated across the globe within hours. It was no longer just a sports story, it was a human story. Networks in the US and beyond replayed her run, but the commentary shifted from technical analysis to emotional awe. Analysts, often stoic, were visibly moved. They spoke of her resilience as one of the defining images of these games, a young woman standing tall while carrying an invisible weight. They praised not the athlete, but the person.
Social media became a wall of shared humanity. Strangers typed messages of condolence and admiration. Fellow competitors posted emoji of broken hearts and clasped hands. Parents saw in her the child they hoped to raise. The grief-stricken saw a reflection of their own journey. It was a rare, unifying moment of collective empathy. American sports culture loves a winner, but it deeply respects a fighter. And Eileen had just shown the world that true strength isn't just about physical dominance, it's about emotional endurance. Commentators noted that repeating as champion is a mountain few can climb. Doing it with a soul weighed down by loss, that's climbing Everest without oxygen. Headlines called it a golden goodbye and a victory baptized in tears. The reason it resonated wasn't because of the drama, but because of the quiet dignity. It was strength without a soundtrack. For young viewers, the takeaway wasn't just about her 1080s. It was about her character. It was about seeing someone hold it together when every fiber of their being wants to fall apart. It was a masterclass in grace. The clip of her emotional press conference didn't go viral for its controversy. It went viral for its raw, unfiltered authenticity. In a fragmented world, this story stitched people together with a thread of universal truth, the love for family and the pain of loss. The Olympics, at their best, are a mirror reflecting our own humanity. They show us the pinnacle of competition, yes, but they also show us resilience, heartbreak, and the things we carry into the arena when no one is looking. Eileen Gu's victory in 2026 will be recorded in the history books. Two-time Olympic champion, dominant performance, historic achievement. But that's not the headline that will echo through time. What the world will remember is the image of a young woman holding a gold medal in one hand and the memory of a loved one in her heart. They'll remember the grace she showed when joy and grief collided, and they'll remember how she turned unspeakable loss into a tribute of unparalleled power. Champions are defined by scores. Legends are defined by character, by how they stand when